And welcome back to Heart of Iron 4 Kaiserreich, playing as the Ottoman Empire. In episode 1, I just basically talked about the situation of the Ottoman Empire. Now we're going to start playing. Let's jump into it. So, this is the focus tree, so it has a, well, I'd say medium-sized army branch. Then this here is the economic branch. It has well, this is foreign politics, I'd say. Well, this part here is foreign politics. This here is inner politics, and this is inner politics as well. So this is actually the constitution part, and this is the administration part. This is later the consolidation part of the empire. All right, so we only have one focus to pick, and that would be expand the education ministry. So fighting an uphill battle ever since the revolution in 1908, the topic of education is of utmost importance to the OHF. Significant steps have been made in this regard, especially on the matter of co-education, but the decentralization of the Ottoman education system remains a thorn in the side. With the upcoming co-education and unification decree, this will be annihilated and in one fell swoop. So, GATT's event on the education decree. So, failure to push the education decree could have severe consequences. Let's start. Boys and guilds. Let's start. So, the assassination of President Kerensky, I think everybody knows that by now. So, Ottoman economy in 1936, an era of growth. As the years ticked by and the economy reached its pre-war state by the late 20s, the then ruling OHF took development in the to the next level, as a sequence of 4-year plans were laid to the table, and the hold of the government on the economy was tightened even further. Then, in 1931, the unthinkable happened, as the nationalist coalition was decisively brought down by the Liberal Entente, who reopened the economy to foreign investment and toned down the Entente measures so carefully crafted in the decade before. Nevertheless, the economy kept expanding as the industry popped up all across Anatolia and the Levant, financed by an almost never-ending wave of economic prosperity in the German Empire and low import costs for machinery and building materials. By the middle of the 1930s, the Turkish economy had never seen better days, as a feeling of euphoria and progress could be felt from Beirut to Smyrna. Nonetheless, many have pointed out warning signs on the horizon, as increasing instability of the continent and the stagnation of the German economy will likely bring issues to the Grand Orient as well. Praise the Devleti Müddet, the eternal state. Alright, so we have unassigned divisions. Oh, let's do the 3 factories. So we do need more civilian factories. We ain't got enough. Okay, this is, let's start with this, and then Adrian we do one. Okay, and I think these are, have we added them? Okay. Let me just finish this. Oh no, yeah, now we have all our troops in one army. We send them there. Okay, and now I read this. Education debates in the Meclisi Mebusan. The fight over the minds and spirits of the population have been vigorously fought over the last few decades, as the unreeling pace of modernization has also greatly affected this field. Started deep into the 19th century, the reforms have progressed in a steady progression over the years, mostly carried by the secularist movement. The OHF has continued this conflict post-World Weltkrieg, with first the participation of women in higher education and official full co-education only a few years later, promoted by Sultan Vahdettin. Nonetheless, the policy is finding it hard to be fully implemented on the ground, as heavy opposition from the conservative ulema and the continued split in the various education systems makes any centralization hard to accomplish. The Ottoman education system, consisting of three main branches, remains divided, and even though the Yadi and Sultani reformist schools established by the Tanzimat reforms have been united into one distinct curriculum, the medreses, religious education, and the minority schools, protected by the millet system, remain the thorn in the side of the Ministry of National Education. Long been a staple of the OHF, it has detailed its plans to unite all three systems, place them directly under the ministry, and to streamline the curricula to both promote social cohesion and make it more approachable to the common citizen. Over the last few years, primarily during the first tenure in 1927, massive strides were made towards accomplishing this goal, but the subsequent centralist government of 1931 has overturned this policy once more in favor of education on a vilayet level, such as causing a divide in both the quality and accessibility of education depending on efforts of the Wali. The Wali is the governor. Now that the OHF is firmly back in the saddle, it has brought to the table the sum of its designs, the Co-Education and Unification Act, finally putting to law the full unification of education in the entire realm and the forced co-education of male and female. The party has found itself up against a wall of conservative forces founded by the powerful Sufi lodges in an attempt to prevent the power of the government to fade. Change is in the air. So Sufi lodges are religious lodges. So Sufis are orders, religious orders. Let's move, guys. Missing equipment production. Oh my. So, the Totalist Charter, Mussolini, etc., etc. Just reject this. Yeah. King Edward was crowned as King of Great Britain. So let me give order to this. Mountaineer divisions. Medreses fight back against the OHF, so the medreses are the religious schools, remember. A petition signed by 300 ulema, so ulema would be religiously educated people, from across the empire has reached the desk of the Grand Vizier earlier this week, as the nearing vote on the Co-Education and Unification Act is stripping up commotion throughout the nation. Nonetheless, there is no united opposition to the act, as even within the ulamas themselves, many are seeing the benefit of centralized education, with some even openly expressing the support for the act. The vote approaches. Change in popularity of social conservatism? What? Alright. Anyways. So, we take Marshal Chakmak, 5th Anglo-Afghani War. My, what are the Afghans doing? Electoral gridlock in France. Expand the Education Ministry. So, that's done. Vote on the Education Decree, including the controversial Co-Education and Unification Act, the Meclis-i Mebusan, Chamber of Representatives, has presented, that's the lower house of the Ottoman Empire, by the way, was presented today with a wide variety of decrees and plans by the modernist OHF. As the OHF has a majority in the House after their 1935 electoral success, many are worried that the Sultan may yet interfere through the Meclis-i-Ayan. Meclis-i-Ayan, that's the Senate, the upper house, so like the House of Lords in our United Kingdom. Those members are almost entirely appointed by the Padishah himself. Known for being a devout Muslim and sharing many of the conservative tendencies of the opposition, the Sultan has kept himself absent from the political process ever since his ascension 10 years ago, either because of a general apathy or as some whisper out of the fear that what happened to Abdul Hamid II may yet happen to him as well. With the future of religious education through the madrasas now on the line, however, many expect the Caliph of Islam to finally take a stance against the secularists. So we can either shut the law down or we pass it. So the law is passed, change in popularity of authoritarian democracy. That would be base stability minus. Alright, the law is passed. Yay! Let's take a look at politics. So, OHF 49, Ittihad Muhammadiyya 7.2, HIF. I don't like the HIF. Selameti Osmaniye. By the way, the proper name for this party is Sulh ve Selameti Osmaniye Fırkası. Anyways, Ottoman Salutation Party. Black Monday. Mein Gott. The Grand Vizier speaks to the international press. Speaking to editors of both Constantinian and international papers, the Grand Vizier has given a statement on the success of the vote and the expansion of the ministry. The decision taken by the Ottoman Parliament today is what the nation had wanted, naturally and genuinely. There is no need to look at it as something extraordinary. Showing off the stack of letters he had recovered from intellectuals all over the empire, the Pasha has once again shown to international press that the people stand behind him. Whether or not this is actually the case is left vague, and the opposition papers are already describing vividly how this is an affront to the proud traditions of our state. A grand success for the Ottoman nation. Gain base stability plus 3%. Yay! Alright, so nothing else unlocked. No. So we can either found the Judicial Commission or replace the penal code. We start with the Judicial Committee. As the Ottoman Civil Code is based on the Sharia in the shape of the Mejele, many of the reformers have been attempting to replace it with a modernized and secular variant. An attempt at doing so was started in 1930, but the electoral defeat in 1931 forced the OHF to re-evaluate its position. Now the party is back in charge. It seems only natural to push it once more. Committee for Judicial Reform. Start. Right, let's see. Missing equipment. So what's missing? Oh my, support equipment. Oh my, there's so much to read. Antun Sadeh publishes The Genesis of Nations. A journalist from Beirut is making shockwaves in the Surya Vilayet with his romantic view on a greater Syria free from Ottoman rule. How dare he? Taking inspiration from the ancient Assyrian Empire and a return to the Fertile Crescent of old, he pledges for a nation spreading from the Suez Canal in the south to the Tarsus Mountains in the north, and from Kuwait in the east to Cyprus in the west. Through the survival of a nation consisting of such a massive amount of different ethnicities and religions seems a fairy tale. The man not only follows closely to the Kemalist ideas of a secular state, but also inspiration from the syndicalist powers seems apparent as well, with the focus on abolishing feudalism, nationalizing vital areas of the economy, mandatory education, and universal healthcare. Even through his popularity amongst the Syrian people seems rather low for now, the governor of Beirut has ordered his arrest, and the man has been imprisoned for treason against the state and instating revolutionary activities. He should be hanged, to be honest. Traitor. Troubling news. Yeah, I don't want unrest in Beirut. I love Beirut, by the way. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Oh my god, so much happening. So, I will assign General Ömer Fahrettin Pasha to my infantry corps. The Austrian Empire withdraws from Italy. Poland declares the Republic. Oh no, no Republic. Republics are bad. Bad Republic, bad. So, Ömer Fahrettin Pasha, by the way, was the commander of Medina, the holy city where the Prophet Muhammad is buried. Yeah, a very, very skillful commander. Now, let's restart. We take Fahrettin Pasha because he's like a cavalry expert for the cavalry. The League of Eight Provinces declared war on the Luft Kuomintang. Don't care about China. Who cares about China? Crisis, chaos, disaster all across the world. Economists, and business owners are in a state of panic as the unthinkable finally happened earlier this week. When the Berlin Stock Exchange collapsed, similar to Berlin, Constantini is on high alert for any changes to the situation. As they watch the economy collapse into the ground, nonetheless, there is far less of a crisis in the empire than many initially expected, as the protectionist nature of the empire during the 1920s has formed the foundation of a structure capable of resisting most shocks on the global market. To ensure the fears of the private sectors are quelled and to outline the next 4-year plan envisioned by the OHF's economic partners, a sound economic congress is planned to be held in the city of Samsun, on the Black Sea. Samsun İktisadi Kongresi, combining both projects from the private sector and showcasing the advances of the Turkish economy over the last few decades. It not only serves as a way to calm down the Ottoman investors, but also as a showcase of modernizing Ottoman nation to the world. Mahmut Celal opens the SIK SAK. Base stability -20. Ooh. Gains national spirit, economic depression, which grants consumer good factories 10%, construction speed -30, factory output -30. Ottoman Empire completes focus, the Samsun İktisat Kongresi. Open it. Alright, bitches. Oh. Move. What? Yeah, blah blah. Something happening in China. Okay. Who should command my Muhafiz? Let's do restoration of democracy, blah blah. Sarai Jadid Arm. Oh my god, no. I selected him by mistake. I don't want him. So, no. Abdurrahman Nazif Pasha. He's good. Defense 4. Do we have someone with a higher attack skill? No. He's pretty chat, isn't he? Yeah. All right. Renovation of the Topkapi Palace completed. So the I without a dot, that's an not an E, so it's not Topkapi, it's Topkapi. Topkapi Palace. The former imperial residence of the House of Osman, Topkapi Palace, was ordered in 1459 by Mehmed the Conqueror. As the centuries dragged on, however, the sultans and their households preferred their other residences on the Asian side of the Bosphorus, leading to the court moving over to the Dolmabahce Palace. Nonetheless, retaining some of its former functions, such as the imperial treasury, the palace was finally emptied in 1927 after the death of Mehmed VI the year earlier. Sultan Abdülmecid II, patron of the arts and famous artist himself, subsequently granted the grounds to the Ottoman state for use as a museum and art exposition. Closed for almost 8 years, the building were thoroughly renovated and restored in an attempt to once more show the splendor of the Ottoman Empire and hopefully rekindle the old Ottomanist spirit. Opened with a splendid party in the Enderun, the old Sultan himself presented a multitude of his own works and various masterpieces of contemporary Ottoman art to the gathered world press. The Saray Cedid Amire shines once more. Game-based ability, yay! Alright. I pick the commander first. So, whom shall we choose for this? For the Mountaineer divisions? Meh. You know what? As these will not really attack, I think he's an artillery officer. Most probably I would not use artillery that much. Oh, you know what? I'll just choose. Let's take him, Mustafa Mughal. So, Committee for Judicial Reform. The Civil Code have been used since the Tanzimat era of the Mejele Code was first codified in 1877 based on the Islamic Hanafiya legal tradition. The code was first enforced of a unified law over all Ottoman citizens who previously, according to the Millet system, used their own codes. So just a second, Hanafi, that's a branch of Sunni Muslims. So there is Muslims, like as Christians. There are Sunnis, that would be like, let's say, Catholics, yeah, or Orthodox, yeah. Like there are also Shias. That's like the division of Orthodox and Catholics, or Catholics and Protestants, however you want to call it. And then there is another subdivision. So there would be Hanafiya, that would be like, let's say, Methodists and Baptists. So there is another subdivision. Alright, so for decades this code has remained mostly unchanged, and it is in the eyes of many still an ancient relic of a bygone era. As it is based on Islamic law, many of the reformers have protested against it, and they feel that religious law has no place in a modern secular state. Christian and Jewish citizens who previously used their own legal system remain discontent with it as well, and have urged the government to reform it, if not outright replace the dated code. Mustafa Kemal, who is likewise averse to its non-secular character, and thus opened a debate into the exploration of legal reform, and formed a committee tasked with the investigation with investigating possible judicial reform. Consisting of ulema, administrative personnel, and Ottoman representatives from all millets, the committee will hopefully find a solution agreeable by all parties involved and shall represent their findings as soon as possible. Another step for the reformists. Well, authoritarian Democrats plus 3% political power plus 15. Lit. Alright, so. Oh wow, this always My. So, TOC, blah blah blah. OPDA strengthens hold in the Mashriq. The Ottoman Party for the OPAD strengthens hold in the Mashriq. The Ottoman Party for administrative centralization is making increasing waves in the Mashriq as a variety of parties in the Greater Syria region were absorbed into their organization. Although a similar hand was reached out to the Arab parties in Iraq, this offer was politely declined as fear of increasing Damascene influence amongst the Arab movement was seen as counterproductive to the ultimate goal of Arab autonomy. They're only making themselves a bigger target. That's true. So, we can either go on with the penal code or we can start to raise import tariffs. At this point, I want to replace the penal code just because I want to get this through as quick as possible. I will do this, and after that I'll do the economic reforms, but this one we should really do because yeah. Whilst the current penal code serves us well, the Grand Vizier has been enticed by reforms enacted in the Italian Republic. It not only provides us with a better and modernized code, but it also includes special clauses targeting political dissidents, such as the syndicalist movement, which seem a useful tool to the administration. Get event status of the Allié Immunities bitte. Go on. Resistance. Oh, fuck. Alright. Peace deal has signed. First International Congress. Alright. Basis of the reformed code. As the Sublime Committee for the Judicial Reform. This is like so great. It's not only the Sublime State, even the committee who does a reform is sublime. This is so chat. As the Sublime Committee for Judicial Reform is making progress in sifting through the 1851 articles, through the 1,851 articles of the Megillah Code, the majority of the reformists in the committee have suggested looking towards the West for inspiration. Multiple different codes are being discussed as a baseline, although an overall tendency towards the Swiss Civil Code, both for its modernity and relatively easy application to the empire, seems to be prevailing. Others have pointed out the Austrian Empire, whose legacy as a multi-ethnic, multi-religious empire is eerily similar to our own. A small core of hardline ulema, however, have urged their committee members not to abandon the proud traditions of the Sharia code and have suggested a reform of the Megillah instead of a complete rewrite. So, now we can choose either we can base the new code on civil law, on the Swiss Civil Code, on the Austrian Civil Code, or we can't abandon the Islamic character of our law and get plus 10 base stability. But no. So plus 20 opinion by of Switzerland or Austria. You know what? As Switzerland is fairly unimportant, small country, but the Austrians are a big country and I want them as my allies, I'd say the Austrian Civil Code. Furthermore, I think the argument that this is a multi-ethnic empire and hence its civil code would fit our demographic structure strikes. So I'll choose the Austrian code. So I think what I should do now is I position my guys over here, and I'll tell you why, because Julius the Fourth elected as new pope. I never really cared for whom as the pope. I just know that there is like a war pope or something like that. But anyways, so no, yeah. So let's get our army over here, because the first major event that that's important for us is the war against Bulgaria. The fourth or fifth Balkan War, whatever number it is, fourth, I think. Yeah. So hence I'll position my army here now. But now let us get to women's rights, and I'd say after the women's rights we quit this session. Under the Magellanic Code, the status of woman and man in our empire remains a vastly different affair. Both the woman's share in the inheritance and the weight of woman's testimony in the court itself is half of that of the man. Subsequently, women are also barred from exercising all professions, which has given rise to a seizable emancipation movement clamoring for change, as women during the Weltkrieg were forced to take up a wide variety of professions and bonded together in a small movement to out their non-violent protests against the government. Education, as well promoted by the late Bahtettin, has allowed women to involve themselves deeper into both politics and kindled in many a desire to perform a variety of strictly male professions. Polygamy and the vagueness of martial law are also up for reform, as they are not only seen as relicts from the past, but an obstruction to future reforms. Legal marriage, as well as now a voluntary action, should be made compulsory according to the Committee for all Ottoman citizens, no matter their religion or ethnicity. So, approved, or the place of the woman is subservient to that of a man? No, it's not. No, it's not. But you know what? Even if this would give me like a double your strength buff to choose this, I wouldn't do it, because this is against my beliefs. So approved. By God, it is approved. So yes, yeah. Let's position the army. Oh, mechanical engineering. Let's do mechanical computing plus research speed. That's important. Now I have to reposition the army. My God. Come on. Come on. So I'll position those here. Riots in Damascus. Instigated by the sharp economic downturn in the region and populist rebel cruisers, the Syrian people seem to be shifting the blame for the current economic crisis towards the central Ottoman government. The rapid decrease in the price for agricultural products, I think this should be this should be products, I think, for agricultural produce, in the meanwhile is taking a toll on the recently settled tribes of the Syrian hinterland, where banditry is increasing by the day. In the intellectual center of both Syria and the Ottoman Arabs in general, Sham is Damascus, by the way, a general strike against the government has been called. More disturbing, however, is the increasing polarization of the political landscape in Syria, as groups such as the authoritarian SSNP and the Syrian Syndicalist Party are growing in size and influence. Most troubling. I don't want unrest in Syria. Yeah. Oh, you know what? No, I won't have them here. I will have them over here, I'd say. And then I'll have those guys guard this and those here. Alright, yeah. So, see. Alright, replace the panel code. Start status of the Aliye Emniyet Hizmeti. You know what, guys and girls? We'll leave that for the next episode. We have already reached 35 minutes. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back soon with part 3 of our series.